All right, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody, welcome to Real Talk Recovery, the forensic peer lens, healing beyond or behind and beyond bars. It's the episode. My name is Miss Mo, your host. All right, this episode dives deep into the power of peer connection for justice, involved individuals, and the unique role it plays in recovery and healing. Our guest we have today is Jordan Singer. Jordan Singer brings a powerful story of resilience and transformation. With 40 years of sobriety, a history of jail experience, and the courage to turn his life around. J- Jordan is now the proud owner and operator of Deck Brothers, an active member of the 12 step programs, and even a band leader in his free time. Absolutely amazing, guys. I mean, great player, okay? His journey proves that healing behind and beyond bars is possible with peer support, commitment, and passion. Y'all, welcome Jordan, Big Steppers. Welcome to the Real Talk Recovery.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jordan, for having me and to accept this invitation here. We spoke about how you turned your life over. Can you give us a brief description of what 40 years of sobriety looks like to you?
Well, it's been very effective, but it's been the slow, steady roll, right? It's just taken a long time and a lot of patience with myself and patience with other people, with me. I feel like I grew up. I've had, I wouldn't say a lifetime, but a lot of a lifetime of growing up. So it's been a slow process.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Wow, that's amazing. 40 years of sobriety. Right now, I'm on my fourth year, and it does kind of feel lengthy. Tell me, let's take it back a little bit, if you don't mind, because
Sure.
I remember hearing your story, and you said that you've been to jail. I'm
Uh-huh.
shocked.
A few times.
Wow. Okay. My question to you, and I think the big steppers have a question as well. But we want to get into it real quick, y'all. I want to break down the topics real fast before we get deep and dive deep into Jordan's story. Number one, we're going to talk about from jail to joy, how Jordan turned incarceration into a stepping stone for lifelong sobriety. Number two, we're going to talk about peer support behind bars. We're going to talk about how that could probably help nowadays in this now time, in this trying time. And then 40 years of sobriety, how the challenges, the wisdom that he can give to all of us to take in today. Also, we're going to talk about life beyond addiction, building a business, embracing creativity, how that looks and how he did it, the power of 12 step memberships. Okay, he's going to kind of break down a little bit of what that means to him and how the community is formed in the 12 step community. All right, so Jordan, let's get into it. All right, the question I have for you is, first off, what is your story? Give us a brief understanding of how your addiction even took place. What was your choice of drug and so forth?
Well, I mean, I started out smoking weed like everybody, puffing on cigarettes, drinking. I feel like I stagnated my growth probably at about 12 or 13 years old mentally. So, it progressed pretty quickly. I always say I was kind of like one of those experiments where they give rats, they open up a door and they give them weed. Then they open up another door and give them coke. But when they opened up the door and gave me meth, that's what that's what that's what shot me into recovery like a cannon, because meth, as a lot of people know, it's awful. I mean, the psychosis, the mental anguish, the hallucinations, when you think you can't tell what reality is and what is, like, sometimes, you'd be a little high or this, then you go, oh, I'm a little high. But with meth effed me up.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's deep. I can
Yeah.
definitely relate to that. I
Yeah, and
remember
and the
when I
thing is,
was,
I had no defenses. I was like a homeless child, even though I was 23 when I got clean. Just you open up the door, like a rat would just kill itself. That's kind of me. Like, I didn't have an off switch. I didn't, I only committed a few crimes. I got caught for every single one. I had no game in it.
We understand what you're saying. There's a lot of people that does not live successfully in the criminality lifestyle.
Not even close.
We get these movies that's thrown at us and it makes it look like it's just New Jack City all the time. Not
Right.
everybody's a successful human being in that type of lifestyle.
No, my
And
my my recovery was kind of like the Titanic, one and done. Took off brand new, died that same night.
yeah, I
That was
love
it.
it.
It was
Wow.
awful.
Yeah, I understand.
Didn't
That's
mean that I
amazing.
didn't go. Didn't mean that I didn't go to jail because I tried to rob one old lady's purse, as people have heard me say, and that's my little Bible story for me. I couldn't even do that.
But when
I
you
ended
went
up
to
in.
jail, so you say you went to jail multiple times, but that last time, what happened in jail that made you stick? Like what is the transition? Because you've been in jail multiple times before. What's the difference between the last
Well,
time?
that's the weird part because I went to my first 12-step meetings in jail, and they said because there was going to be donuts and coffee in this other tank, so I went in there, and there wasn't any donuts and coffee, and I was mad, right? And there was two people up there like me and you talking, and I just had no idea what any kind of thought or process of an inside job, or even that I was an addict. I knew there was something deeply wrong with me. I mean, why did I try to rob that old lady's purse? I don't know. But now, but so nothing transitioned in jail. It wasn't until I got out and my life became a gauntlet. It's either death or prison for stealing a pack of gum. Because I had a year and a year suspended, and I just, with my record, I would have gone to prison if I got caught one more time.
Wow.
Um,
So you kind of
so
had to
yeah, I mean,
clean it up a little bit. You had to kind. You was forced to go into to
well, it
the
wasn't. I
college.
didn't. Wasn't forced. No, it just came down to once I moved out I moved up from Southern California to Northern California when it became a gauntlet because I started using right away because I didn't know, and I just got lucky in that I reached a mental bottom with the meth, and then I was left with three phone numbers to call. And I called two of them in the Bay Area, and two of them said no, and the one in Berkeley where I got clean, I went to a treatment center in Berkeley, and that's initially there's a place in Berkeley that I went to treatment on the north side of the Berkeley campus. That's one of the greatest places on earth, and it saved my life. It put me on the trajectory.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. What message? The Big Steppers have a question here. It says, "What message do you have for people still behind bars who may feel like change isn't possible?"
Well, if I could talk to myself, I would have said, "Hey, the message was in that room where I thought there was going to be donuts and coffee. I didn't know. Like I didn't know that I was an addict. I just felt like they were up there talking. It sounded like they were going to sell me some Amway or get me in a cult, right? One or the other. And so I it just but you know how it is when people aren't like you and you have problems because you're stealing and robbing, seeing and you have to see it in the other people. The breadcrumbs for recovery are in the other people that are recovering or they're never recovered, but they're recovering. And the or even people that aren't in recovery, people that you are successful
Yeah,
and aren't leading a drug addicted, violent life. You have to see the breadcrumbs in them.
interesting. Was there any like type of support that you had encountered back then? What year was this when you went
Well,
to jail?
I got clean February 1st, 1985. That's the day I
Okay.
walked into treatment. And yeah,
Wow.
when you say support now, I got clean in the golden age of recovery, right? In the Bay Area, especially. There was many programs that are pretty free, free to very, there really wasn't a cost issue. There was tons of co-ed programs, which I went to, men's programs, women's programs. I went to one that was an 18-month live-in program. And that was the kicker was this is what happened was once I went in, right, it's a big house and in Berkeley, big facility. I'm sitting there, on a bench waiting to be, admitted, and I see all these people just moving around, people with ties, dude with ties, and just there's all this motion. I think, man, they got a lot of doctors here, and it's like, wait a minute, those are the addicts.
Mm,
What? What? That was the dawning of the age of Aquarius for Jordan because, and it
wow.
took it, once I realized I was going to be in a lake. I'm not going to call it an ocean because now it's an ocean because I live out in the real world. But it showed me that fellowship and the power of other humans, especially addicts. Because there's that saying, the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. That's the golden rule for me. And that always will be. That will never change. I believe the taproot for recovery comes from that. All other things flow from it, whether it's literature, but I have nothing without that. I have nothing. If I ever lose that key, that's when I will go off track. I believe that. I'll believe that till the day I die.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Because that kind of run into the question, well, kind of like something that popped into my head just now about like there's peer support nowadays, 2025. It's called forensic peer support, and they go into the jails and they be supportive to the inmates or people who is incarcerated to prepare them for recovery in the outside world. And then they have the choice to go into the 12-step programs if that's, I'm saying, an option for them, or if that's
I
what
think
they're
that's I
interested
think
in.
it's wonderful. Yeah, I think it well let me I think
How do you feel
I
about
could
that?
yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because you'll hear people in some of the rooms, you know, they either talk shit about fellowship. They keep saying it's in the book, right? Which it's great. But that human connection of example and that spiritual, the therapeutic value issue is huge,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah,
now, because there was a money grab, treatment dried up. So you've got treatment in jail. They're facilities where you get safe and you have a house and a roof over your head so you're not freezing to death or
right.
whatever, right? But it became so I think even the literature is expanded in some of the programs because I believe it's necessary because there's just not as much help. So going directly to the source now, I'm thinking out loud, when you go to jail to go help them in a smaller, economically friendly way, because you're having one person, you know what I mean? It's a little simpler than having a big facility. However, the message can come through, right?
Right.
I think that's interesting to me. I think that anybody that says that treatment and recovery are different, I think that's stupid. And you can you can quote me on that. I think
Yeah.
it's ridiculous because so I think it makes sense because the government, whatever, would probably have more incarceration, right? But if we have the freedom to go in and do that, it's sort of a give and take, but it's gone a different way, I guess is how I'd say it.
Yeah, it's definitely working these days. It is working. I
That's
know a
interesting.
few forensic peers. I got my forensic peer certification as well, going into jails helping. Um, if you had that, if you at that time had an actual person to walk you through step by step and give you those shortcuts, do you think that would have been helpful to you? Is this something that you think we can actually continue?
I think no, I think you can. I don't think I would have gotten it because it was
Okay.
brought right to me. You know, maybe if they had donuts and coffee. No, no, that so wouldn't have got it. The kicker for me was to realize that I wasn't alone and there was other people just like me. So maybe it would have. I'm going to put myself down. I was pretty stupid. I was pretty ignorant. Again, I felt like an 8-year-old, 20-year-old when I was in jail. I just didn't feel, like I had the mental capacity. I didn't understand life at all. I didn't understand like how to do the right thing or the good thing.
Mm.
For me, responsibility was a big key. And it took 6 months in treatment where them like it was like they kept handing me a ball, like a basketball, and I would keep my arms at my side and go. Because one thing I was lazy. I was super lazy, mentally lazy, spiritually lazy, and I didn't want to do any work. I didn't understand the idea of hard work in any form or fashion, either emotionally, mentally. So I'm just not sure somebody could have got through that way. It was definitely a miracle to get into treatment. Oh, and this is the thing. See, I needed a bombardment, like an attack on a city for myself with other people to break through my denial.
Interesting. Can you break that down a little more? Because I'm trying to
Well, I
wrap
mean,
my head around that.
anybody who's ever been to treatment or because some of the information to right the ship, I mean, the reason why the Titanic sank is because the rudders were too small and it was going too fast and it was too big and couldn't turn, right? It took a lot. It took a lot for me to learn to lean into the skid because I couldn't believe how I felt without drugs in me. I didn't want to use. And what the clear message was, look, not only you better listen to what we're telling you, because it took a lot of information that I didn't like. It was very uncomfortable, right? Very, 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 I knew I wasn't going to leave. I didn't want to leave the treatment center, but something had to give. And at about 6 months, the key word was responsibility. That
Wow.
started to click in. And that
Wow.
goes with not only doing your job, because life is work, right? And I didn't
Yeah.
want to do shit. I didn't want to do anything. I was
Mhm.
just, I just didn't, what? I have to do something. I was very undisciplined.
That makes sense. Yeah, hold on to that. We're going to take a quick break and
Okay.
acknowledge a great company here that's been here in Oregon, working with all of us peers. All right. If you are interested in becoming a peer, if you are a peer, you know this company, Mental Health and Addiction Certification Board of Oregon, MACBO is what we call them. Even if you are working towards getting a alcohol and drug counseling license, qualified mental health associate, this is the place to get board. If you want to learn more about how to do this, it's on their website, their registry. You can even look for jobs if you already just got certified. Education resources is there and data reports, guys. Go to MHACBO, MHACBO.org and get all the information you need. All right, let's get back to it, Jordan. So you said responsibility. So you get out of jail, you got this 40 years of sobriety that is absolutely magnificent. It's magical because you're like maybe 2% of the world that
Right.
have been
Plus,
uh,
I'm still a
free
young
from
man.
substance for this
Yeah.
long. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Any
Well,
mind
yeah.
altering substance. So what was the responsibility you felt like you had to take? Because now you're a business owner. Tell us about the
Well,
life.
here's the interesting part was at
Mhm.
about 6 months, there was a counselor in my treatment center. And I can say his first name. His name was Tyrone. I won't say his last name, but he kept when I was in treatment, they had different jobs for different for the addicts, and the idea was to a ladder of responsibility and also to pay attention and learning to have bosses and workers. That's just part of life. And so I was put in charge of the new people. It's called the orientator. I remember getting encountered by people in group and saying, "You don't care about any of these new people. You don't care." And I'd have to sit there going, I guess I don't, right? I mean, I just didn't really care. I had empathy. I mean, that's one power that I've had. I do have empathy. One of my shining bright moments for me as in life is when I'm empathetic and when I'm
Yeah,
generous. Okay.
yeah,
Generous. But
yeah.
I mean, I was super, I wouldn't say greedy. I just didn't have anything to give and I didn't want to learn how to do that. Okay. But specifically around job function, right? I have a lot of entitlement. That just with shorts, I'd trip over my shoestrings over entitlement. Like I just want everything for free. I don't want anything to be done. I don't want to take responsibility myself. That became specific about like job function. Like you got to get up and clean your room, that kind of stuff. Lazy. That's the kicker. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, procrastination was my thing.
Mhm.
Uh, laziness, yeah, I could relate to that. It takes a lot for me to build myself up in recovery before recovery even started. I had just learned within the last year my own routines and rituals on how to keep myself motivated and keep going. So today, 40 years speeding today, or within the last, what, 10, 15 years, you've being a founder and CEO of this Deck Brothers company, which you built decks. Can you tell us more about your company?
Well, my company, it's kind of weird, but just like everything in my life, you never know what the breadcrumbs are going to lead you to and how things play out. I actually worked as a litigation secretary. Now, mind you, I never went to college, and I'm in my family, I'm the only one that didn't go to college, right? I'm
Mhm.
definitely the black sheep. I didn't go to college, and I didn't I gave up on school, I think in about sixth grade. I used to just go in and turn off my brain. I didn't want to learn new things because, again, if I learn it today, you're going to want me to know it tomorrow, that kind of crap. So,
That part.
and it's just again, lazy, lazy. So, But the company, that I worked as a litigation secretary in San Francisco for like 12 years. But I started losing jobs in office jobs, right? But the office jobs sort of played into my laziness because you sit at a desk, and I could do all the things, a lot of things really well, but entitlement started whooping my ass here and there over different things. But I realize now my higher power had me on a path because being a little more physical in my older age, I've sort of lived a backward life. It's like I'm getting younger and more mature as I get older. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just been backwards because now,
You're like the Benjamin Button.
exactly. This is exactly perfectly
You know
placed.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You
because
turn into a
no,
baby, but
it's true. Because now at 63, I feel like a relatively mature 33-year-old, right?
yeah,
That knows how to do things, knows how to treat people, knows how to pay bills, right? I treat bills like mosquitoes. I said that to a sponsee yesterday. I pay them. I don't owe anything, right? Whereas for years. So at any rate, the business started. Business started as a miracle. I lost my last job at the state bar in this state, and was kind of floundering, trying to figure out a new office job. But because I had friends that did blue collar stuff. I had a friend in the Bay Area who I owned a couple condos that I bought and sold and lost them when we had the economic meltdown. But I learned how to kind of do some stuff, so I started doing handyman work when about 10, 12 years ago. I put ads on Craigslist, and then I never knew what pressure washing was. I just, and I own a townhome in Tigard. They have a little pressure washer, little gas ones you could use for your unit, right? And now this is the thing, we're very resourceful. I wasn't supposed to do it, but I manipulated and I borrowed the pressure washer, and I started booking some jobs on Craigslist to do it, right? And then the funny thing is, this is how the program works, because sponsees help you more than you help them most of the time, in my opinion. One of my sponsors, hey, my dad has a bigger pressure washer. He'll loan it to you, and you could start booking jobs. And I was like, okay. So he loaned it to me, and then I actually put an ad for pressure washing.
yeah.
But then his dad, like 2 weeks later, says, I need it back, right? And my old Jordan would have been, I would have just got pissed and just said, fuck it, right? But I said, I took like $900. I went to Home Depot and I bought a bigger one. Okay. And I started pressure washing. And then one year my brother told me, he goes, hey, you should paint some decks after you clean them. I was like, okay. So I started doing that. And then that next year, Deck Brothers was born. It's just a name because I was with my brother. He's a very good builder, right? Now, mind you, I'm not a skilled builder. That's not my thing. I mean, I learned how to do it. My brother and I built a bunch of decks and started doing it and fixing them and whatnot. But I finally absorbed knowledge about that. I was able to absorb it. And then within 2 or 3 years, started, it started expanding a little bit. And then I found out the other thing is I'm a natural salesman, but not like a used car salesman. I was able to the passion and the ease of building decks just entered into me. It's pretty easy. It's not like doing interior work, but now I have a lot of knowledge
Yeah.
because I finally paid attention. It was really a good symmetrical coming together because I'm also creative. I like the art of the decks. If you ever hear me talk about it, my passion is like to get client, and also to make clients happy. That's my goal. My goal is to make my partner's happy, right? And then once my brother, he doesn't have to do this, right? Because his wife's a physician, but he stepped back, and then I realized, oh, also through music because I've done music my whole life. And we can talk about that.
Yeah.
It taught me how to interact with other people, so I started advertising for partners because this is the thing in the industry, you can be the builder, but it's hard to do the building and the selling. And that's where I developed my own persona in the whole
Nice.
company because and then as a result, because of my brother, who I respect deeply, I was able to know what a good builder partner was. And so that's where I'm at now, is I'm in an exceptionally good spot because I followed the hood ornament through the whole thing.
So is it safe to say that you kind of followed your business plan is based on the way you treat your recovery, like your recovery and your
Well, I'll
business
say this,
impacts each other?
well, it's interesting because the law firm that I worked at in San Francisco, 12 years I was there, okay, they treated us really well. Not to insult any attorneys out there, but a lot of them are assholes.
Mm.
The company I worked for, they were really good, and because I lost the job through entitlement. I mean, I was a valued employee, but clearly, when the jig was up for me, it was over issues. They could find somebody better to replace me, kind of thing. But what I did is I just built my business model on how they treated me, and also how other people have treated me my whole life. Because the other thing I was most of my life was super, super needy, needy and lazy, and so so I learned to kind of flip that script into being a giving person. I'm not greedy about the things. Uh, Again, the beauty of it is the magic of what I'm doing now is that it produces enough income for me to kind of balance everything. Oh, and then the honesty part, because
Yeah.
when I was in the law firm, we used to have a thing for a nonprofit. I won't say the name of it, uh, UW, but I got put in charge of this fundraiser every year, and I got them. The law firm. You go. We have like a little events for like a week, and it was a competition in San Francisco, and that was amazing because they put me in charge of it, and I took I took what they do every year for like 20 grand to like 80 grand a year that they would donate
Wow.
through the stuff. And I made it really fun. It was a way to it was a way to like not pay attention to my job as much, right? Kind of that's where the entitlement kind of did it. But they loved me for doing it. And we got an award, for the firm for doing it. It's a lot of PR bullshit. But it again, my life has just kind of spiraled into
Right.
as recovery has happened in me. And that's the thing I'll say, because the connective part is this, because some people, I get a lot of judgment, one, because of my color, two, because people think I'm talking about money and it's not. I think you understand that. It's
Get
not
that.
about the money.
It's not the
It's
money.
not about the money. Okay.
And that's the part everybody keep
Yeah.
missing, Jordan.
Right.
It's not about the money, it's the passion, it's the
Well,
satisfaction.
well,
For
but it's
me,
the passion, but it's also this. Some people will talk about they want to have some debt. This is what it is. It's on this. It's in this book. It's in this thing. It's like the work in here, the internal work, the magic comes from talking about yourself and stilling allow that lens. The lens was developed in those 6 months in treatment. Look, motherfucker,
yeah,
you want to live or what? And
yeah,
that involves you have to flip the telescope to look inside. And for
yeah.
me, there has to be a motor installed. That's what I find sometimes. Well, I'm learning to be more entertained by it, not have a resentment. As I step back in meetings and where I go, I'm learning not only to value myself, but realize it does, I like the shape shifting of what other people think about me. You'll hear me often say, like, when people say, well, what other people think about me is none of my business. That's just bullshit. I can't
Yeah,
afford, I can only afford a little bit. I can afford a little bit of that for entertainment purposes, but
yeah.
it directly affects because a lot of times, if 20 people think you're an asshole, you're probably an asshole, right?
And sometimes 20 people think you're an asshole and you're not an asshole. And that's just not enough
Well,
people.
well, no, what
Jordan.
I mean is,
20
okay,
people is not enough
let's
people.
say
Well,
99 out of 100. If 99 out of 100 say, "Hey, you do this,"
okay, then
then you
maybe you're
probably
an
do.
asshole.
That's my bet. So what I'm saying is, I still
Yeah,
need that reflective lens turned back on me, and I
yeah.
can never. That when I say I don't forget where I came from, it's not just from the drugs. It's from the slow trudge of learning how to do life and responsibility, right?
Mm,
And today, I genuinely get to feel an amazing part of me that shows honesty, integrity, responsibility. My
yeah.
entitlement is what oh, and then the needy part, because that relationship needy part got turned down in the volume
We're
level.
going to get
Massive.
into that in a
Okay.
moment. Let's go ahead and take a break real quick and talk about Oregon Health Authority. Oregon Health Authority, guys, is really moving forward these days. Oregon Health Forward, eliminating health inequalities by 2030. Oregon Health Forward is the vision and alliance of three efforts that will enable us to eliminate health in inequities and mobilize our partners and strengthen our capacity to deliver our commitments consistently and transparently. All right. So, Oregon Health Forward includes the agencies of strategic planning, a statewide call of action, and the transparency, accountability, and belonging of all. So this is a time where everybody's going to really shift into everybody gets equal health care. Everyone is equal in Oregon, and I'm loving the transformation. Y'all, if you want to learn more about the programs and services, there's even a video you can watch to learn more about how Oregon Health Authority is switching things up these days. You can go to the website www.oregon.gov. All right. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get back to it. Now, we got 10 more minutes on this video, but we will continue the conversation on Podbean. Are you already on Podbean? Yes, I do see you. And I'm going to accept you as a guest speaker? I see you. Okay. Invite as guest speaker. I'm inviting you as guest speaker on Podbean, Jordan. All right, so we got 10 more minutes on this video, guys. We're going to go ahead and make it stick. I got a few more things I want to talk about before we end this video,
Sure.
Jordan. I want to say something. I want to really I want to say thank you so much, because I know you to be not only a good, faithful member of the recovery community, but also just being a good friend to me when I first started my recovery, when my mother passed away and I received all that insurance money. And it was a whole lot. And I was going to have a cocaine party. I felt like I wanted to have a cocaine party. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to ask somebody, and it took another addict to tell me exactly what it is. And I'm so grateful for your recovery, because I went to professionals, banks, everywhere, and they could not tell me any professional advice about investments, nothing that they would have told their own children. You know what I'm saying? And you actually told me straight up truth. Look, this is what you do, and gave me the step-by-step instruction, and I followed those instructions. And to this day, I am, at least secure to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? My retirement is taken care of. And I really, really thank God for that. So, everybody is worthy of recovery. Everybody is so worthy, y'all, because what if I would never met Jordan? I would probably had a cocaine party, and then you would never have real talk recovery. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mhm.
So that's why one of the reasons why I really admire the way you do your recovery, because you know how to pour into others when really needed. You know to step in, and speaking of stepping in, what is your recovery looking like today?
Well, my sponsees, I have, I don't have tons and tons of them. I've been more of a froncer, like friend sponsor, but I believe that sponsorship to me means you should look up to other people, and you really have to have one bedrock person, and that especially for the connective part where you really go to the mat with your issues in the cycle that we talk about in the 12 steps, which goes through the fourth and fifth step. I talk about that a lot because that's the generator for your recovery, in my opinion. What flipped on that was realizing that it's not it flipped like a domino going this way. The four and five in that particular step being connective, deeply energizing what happens because it continues to energize. It's like a cycle that just keeps expanding. And right now my recovery looks like I have sponsees that help me, right? I don't employ them, but some of them work with me and for me. One of my sponsees now is doing some web work because I'm an old guy. These young guys, they're the kids that can look at your phone and take your bank account kind of stuff, right? They know how to do tech stuff. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm developing my website more, developing my web presence more because, it takes younger people to understand this and have younger brains to make it happen. Um, and then my recovery just looks like I don't mess with the recipe. Go to meetings regularly, 3 to 4 to 5 times a week.
Yeah.
I have lots and lots of things I do. Like here's my roadmap right here that's got a lot of stuff on it, right? I in my day, like today, when I get done now, probably going to a meeting, right? I got a bunch of calls. I was on a call when you called earlier.
Yeah.
Pretty big money call. I'll just say it. Okay. Pretty big money call. And it's like, okay, I started feeling guilty, but see, that's my sense of responsibility. I know like Mo wants me to be on there, but I had to finish that call. Trust me. Not all of them are like that in the morning, but that was a big one. Okay. I'm trying to land some tuna here in this fall and winter come. I'm at a great spot in all ways, in my 63rd year of being alive, in my 41st year of being in recovery. Every day is a genuine gift. And, I base my recovery in my life, and I even tell clients this on the phone sometimes. I base it 49.5% on the love and the caring and the giving and the beauty of what I'm doing, and 50.5% on the money and the economic stuff to make that happen. And even that part is still part of the love. That's why it's not about the money.
Yeah,
It's about keeping what you have and retaining it. So, I'm just continuing, and then the sponsee thing, like I tend to get sponsees that are the opposite of me because I'm sort of hyper and it's interesting because I opposites attract. That's just a natural thing. And so they tend to be a little more eloquent and they're able to slow me down in ways, but I also know that I'm vastly helping them. Sometimes a little bit financially, but it's not just that relationship, but definitely around giving them giving them a respectful example of how to act and do business or be in life in general.
absolutely. I love that. Can you tell me the difference for you? Do you think that being a friend, what do you call your sponsorship
A
again?
Francer.
Sponsor. Is a sponsor kind of similar to being a peer? Could that be?
Oh yeah, no.
What
See,
would be
that's
the
the thing.
difference?
When you
Because you
say
just
peer,
created that for
right?
yourself.
But when you say peer, it's all the same thing. Okay.
Okay.
The breadcrumbs in the other humans, a peer, someone to come in to help you. You got to see there's a place to go.
Yeah.
So that's why I think when people say the program's in the literature, blah, 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 I think they get it twisted. They think I don't read the book or don't believe in it. I think the books and the literature are nuclear fertilizer, but they don't do shit until they're in another human coming to talk at me or talk to me or be in my presence. They talk sometimes just being in the presence of somebody. Like, there was a director at this place I go to that spoke at a meeting yesterday. I'm not going to say her name, okay? But her presence radiates in the place. And she came into a place where it was fucked up for a while. And she's a strong woman of color. She's doing her thing. And I don't know her that well, but I went up to her yesterday and I go, I just want to tell you, I just know what you're doing. And she loved it. That's all I had to say. Okay. So there's a beauty and symmetry. When you say peer, that's why that therapeutic value is the first thing, right? Because I like to think, I like to visualize this, that the first meeting ever, the very first meeting that ever happened was two people looking at each other going, son of a bitch, right? Because they were in some hospital, right? And there wasn't like they didn't have anything else but that. Okay, that's the taproot. That's the snowball that rolled down the hill. And everything else that comes afterwards is gravy, right? Whether it's peer support, the different ways it can be structured,
Yeah.
it's human to human thing, right? And
Yeah.
without that, that's the most valuable thing.
I love it. Thank you so much, Jordan. I appreciate it. We're gonna go ahead and transfer over to the Podbean. Do you see your Podbean
Okay.
right there? All
Uh,
y'all big steppers, we're on our
do
way
I
over to
do I
your
join
side.
as speaker? Do I
Yes,
join as speaker? Okay.
join that speaker. We're gonna go ahead and end this video. Before we end this video, is there anything you want to advertise your business real quick? Because this video is going on YouTube.
Oh, me?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, at Deck Brothers, we do decks and awnings. We specialize in that and other exterior stuff, but mostly decks, awnings, and porches. Can I give my phone number?
Yes.
Yeah, my phone number is 503-732-6976. You can look at us online, deckbrotherspdx.com. And yeah, we work and build decks and awnings and porches all over the Portland metro area. If you have a relative or friends or ever that need that kind of consultation, I do free consultations. I like to give people really good information. That's how I go, throughout my business practice. It's just, I enjoy talking to people about it, and from that comes a lot of fruitful stuff for me.
Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead, y'all. If y'all want to go ahead and learn more about recovery and learn more about Jordan's story and just kind of get in the mix, go over to Podbean. Podbean, Real Talk Recovery, y'all, to finish the episode. All right. God bless. See you soon.